Lots of diamonds, fancy cars, fine-looking women, big house on the hill, nice boats, yachts, airplanes. All you got to do is just put out a rap record. And overnight, you could just be balling out of control. Or can you? That's what we're talking about right here, 106 KMEL. And, well, we got to talk about this. This is the music game, the music business. It's moved up in the arena of sports. You know, when people are coming out of certain neighborhoods, you're like, man, I can escape the hood. All I got to do is just play basketball real well. Or all I got to do is just play football real well, get a sports scholarship, and I could be the next Michael Jordan or the next, Jerry Rice or whoever happens to be in the spotlight in terms of sports. But, not everybody is a gifted athlete. So a lot of people have been either turning to the hustling game, and, of course, that's a dead-end street with harsh penalties. So a lot of people have been getting into the rap game. And we wanted to talk about it because it's something that definitely impacts us, even if you're not involved. And so that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And we got a whole lot of folks on our panel. Some of them will be calling in. For example, I got my man, Mr. Al Robinson. How you doing, Al?
And I'm hanging in there.
Big Al Robinson, he's a veteran in the music business, a manager, a former label runner, and a promotion guy. We also have here in the studio Mr. Billy Jam.
Goddamn.
Goddamn,
that
Billy
DJ
Jam.
made my day. What up, KMEL?
All right, Billy Jam, for people who don't know, he's been a fixture in the Bay Area music scene for a long, long time. And in fact, when I was talking with Billy, I remember this article he did about, making it from the trunk. Mm-hmm. How to start from the streets and move on over. And that's kind of significant because the Bay Area is known for doing that. That's what that's the Bay Area's big contribution to the music industry.
Right back to Too Short from the beginning.
And Hammer and E40 and everybody's done the sell it from the trunk of your car. And
it first came out of it was out of necessity because the major labels, they didn't care about West Coast rap. They didn't care about Too Short when he started out in the early 80s. So he did it out of necessity. But then it became something that sort of worked to his and every other Bay Area rapper's advantage.
Right. And now,
controlling your own destiny.
Now it's a blueprint for everybody else. Everybody's like, well, shoot, if they can do it, I can do it. We also have Johnny Z, producer. And how you doing, man?
What's up?
Johnny Z, in too deep, Johnny Z, huh?
Yeah.
So you've been around for quite some time.
Getting there on the 10th anniversary.
Okay. We also have somebody else who dropped in here. He's a little shy, but we're going to bring him on anyway, Mr. Michael Axon. How you doing,
Davey?
You teach this topic.
Oh, I teach it.
Not only do you teach it, but you're also a manager and a lawyer as well.
Yeah.
So just in case we step out of bounds, we have legal advice. We also have a couple of artists here. We got my man T-Kash. How you doing?
I'm pretty good, Davey D. What's going on, man?
He's one of those young cats that are sitting up here saying, hey, I can make it in the music business.
That's right.
Very young and trying to do his own thing. So we'll see if he's been able to follow those big footsteps of the E40s and the Too Shorts.
I think I'm following them pretty fine, Davey D.
You think so?
Yes, sir, man.
Well, good. I'm glad we got it. And we will be joined a little bit later on by Shorty from the Lynch Mob, also Jay King of Club Nouveau fame. Let me just start off. For people that are listening. Al, I'll start off with you because you're on the phone. We have this perception. The music business, all I have to do is just make a tape. I could just roll up to the radio station, they'll play it, and the next thing you know, I'm going to be just balling out of control. Give one piece of advice for everybody listening that would either, one, help them make it in the music business or clear up a big misperception that people have about this industry.
Well, the one thing I can say that is definitely true that everybody needs to realize that it takes money more than just a hit. You could have a hit, but if you don't have the money to push it, your hit doesn't become anything.
So you got to have marketing dollars.
Of course, and I know every MC out there thinks his stuff is the greatest. His beats are the tightest, but tight beats don't always make it.
Okay, that's one piece of advice there. Johnny Z, what would you add to that? Building off that, one thing that would help somebody who's listening tonight that's saying, I want to get into the music business, or one misperception that we just definitely got to clear up from the start.
I'd have to say that you got to kind of be in charge of your own destination. You can't rely on a lot of other people because a lot of people smile in your face and they'll promise you everything, but they'll never come through.
That was like
So I
that
think,
song that they was talking
yeah.
about.
Oh, that's
So there's a
cool.
lot of truth to that.
Yeah, I think you got to take care of your own business and,
But a
and
lot
make
of
your own
people are
noise.
trying to make their own business, and they seem to do it wrong. I mean, you
Yeah,
know,
I
they're
mean,
like they
that's
figure
part of
that
it,
they
too.
can just do it overnight. I mean, you've been in this business for at least 10 plus years.
Yeah.
I mean, is it an overnight success or?
No. I mean, any group I've ever worked with, it takes at least 3 years before you start working until you either make some noise or get a deal or something.
Who are some of the groups that you worked with?
I started out, of course, with In Too Deep, and from there I worked with this group, Partner Deuce.
I remember Partner Deuce.
Yeah, they came out, made a little noise, but that was, the label again, kind of just
Right.
didn't push them enough. I've worked with Run DMC, a lot of the Bay Area groups, Mac Dre, E40,
So
Spice One.
newbie to the game.
Yeah, I had a studio, so a lot of people came through, and so I got a chance to work with a lot of them.
Okay. Billy Jam, let me ask you the same question. I'm trying to make it in this music business, a piece of advice or one perception that definitely got to be cleared up.
Well, when you were sort of doing your opening there, you were talking about the hustling game versus the rap game. And to me, it's actually one and the same. It's like if you're buying a certain product, whatever it might be, illicit or legal, and if you buy it for $10, you sell it for $20. If you just sort of take that same perspective and you exercise that, and if you're setting up any business, whatever it might be, if it's a new computer company or whatever, you don't go out and spend a ton of money on office equipment until you got your basics covered. So I think you have to be sensible about it.
What are some of the basics in this music game?
Well, the basics are if you put out a CD, you do 1,000 CDs, you figure you can put them out for like about $1,500, including the mastering and the cover, and then whatever it costs to record it. So you figure how many you're going to have to sell to recoup your money. And
Okay.
it's very basic. It's, debits and credits.
Now, how many albums have you put out? Because you're known
I've
for
put out
putting out
20 albums in 2 years.
20 albums in
I
2
just
years.
put one a month. I'm like, crank them out, Life is short. Live the day to the fullest. That's what I say.
I hear that. T-Kash, you're one of the young bucks that is on the scene. And I know T-Kash from a number of places, but this man is like 1 week he's in Sacramento.
Yeah.
Working with groups, then the next minute he's out in Stockton working with groups.
Southside.
What is one of the things that you would say you're in the middle of this, putting out your own stuff, your own labels, your whole nine?
Man, my biggest piece of advice for anybody that's up and coming is to know your market, know who it is that's listening to your music, and why they are listening to your music, and supply and demand to that. I've wasted too many nights. I've had good material, and I've went up to a Wu-Tang concert, and hey, a bag full of tapes. Tapes for $5, CD 10, and people be like, I'm not trying to hear it. But then the next day, I'll be out in Sacramento somewhere at a basketball game, a high school basketball game, and sell my CDs, and they love it. And word gets around, and all of a sudden you have a market. I'm just using myself as an example, but you have a market, a certain sound that certain people like and they buy, and you have to supply that. You have to feed that certain sound in that certain market in order to recoup money. I wouldn't say on a quick basis, but it's on a steady, reliable basis.
So let me ask you, how do you figure out what your market is?
Well, it really goes back to what I first said, man. I went out, for me, I went out and I sold my CD to different people, different places, and I always told them, give me a call back. My number is always open for people to call back, 510-663-6622, and give me your opinion. First people call up, they say, oh, man, I'm not feeling that, man. It's not real hip-hop. And I'll tell them, okay, well, what's your name? Where do you live? Where do you go to school? What type of music do you like?
So you did a little marketing research.
Marketing research, that's right. And people will call me back, oh, man, I love it, man. It's knocking. Well, what's your name? Where do you stay at? You know what I mean? And from there, I developed who likes my music and who doesn't like
So
it.
so it's not for the Wu-Tang fan.
Well, I wouldn't say that. It's for anybody, you know what I'm saying, who wants to hear good music, but some people just have their preferences, and my music, some people it doesn't fit their preference. So I can't be mad at that, but I have a whole nother market now that I would say I don't care about that person, but it doesn't affect me like it used to because I know my market now.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Let me ask you, Michael Axon, what would be one piece of advice or misperception that we need to clear up about this music game?
Oh, I think the biggest misperception is if you sign to a major label, all of a sudden you can go out and buy a house and 3 or 4 houses and take care of your mom and all that other stuff.
It doesn't happen like
I
that?
don't think so. I mean, major labels became major labels for a reason, and their reason is they've been able to stay alive by finding artists, and every artist wants to do what they want to do. So many artists want to do it, and they do it for free. Now, if you have any business where you're the buyer, and somebody says, "Well, I'll do this for nothing," well, hell, I mean, you might as well open up an emporium and say, oh, if everybody's going to work here for free, I'm going to make so much more money if everybody's going to do this anyway. And I think the biggest misperception is that people don't protect themselves and understand that it's an 80-20 split, generally speaking.
80-20.
Yeah, I mean 80 on the label
What, you mean
side.
The artist gets 80% and the label?
Oh, yeah, I wish.
Right. No. That ain't
Mike, if you're getting artists 20-point deals, I need you as my attorney.
Really?
Because that's generous.
That's generous.
That's generous.
So wait a second. Let's clarify this for everybody. Listen, I signed to one of these big record labels. You're telling me that the label gets 80% and the artist gets 20, and you're saying that's a generous offer?
If it's that much. Normally, if a CD sells for $15 at Tower Records, you'd be lucky if you see $1 out of it.
Thank you.
Really?
Thank you. That's it.
Wow. Well, we're gonna go ahead. Go ahead, Al Robinson on
Davey,
online.
I've got a group that I'm over there at DreamWorks with right now in negotiations with, man. And these guys are, just to give you an idea, the kind of numbers that majors will throw at you as a new group, and you have nothing established, you haven't proven anything. They're talking 10 to 12 points off the bat. That's out of their mouth when you first walk through the door. So, I mean...
10%? 12%?
10 to 12 points, and this is at a DreamWorks label, okay?
Wow. So that's... What are points? Is there a difference between points and percentages?
Pretty much a point is a percentage.
Okay, so damn. Well, we're going to continue this conversation. What I want to do is I'm going to be joined by Shorty from the Lynch Mob. He's on our phone lines. And Jay King will be rolling through here as well. Let's walk some people through what they need to do. Some of the basic steps that they need to take. They're sitting here listening tonight. They want to start their label. Let's give them like a mock blueprint, okay, of some things. So when we come back, we'll continue our conversation right here in 106 KMEL. Just tuning in. We've been talking about making it in the music business. What's it going to take? And for those who are going, well, why are you talking about that? It's a continuation from conversation we had a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about entrepreneurialism, and so many people were calling up about the music business. We said we're going to do a separate show because that's just its own type of thing. And for folks who kind of go, well, what is that? I mean, how important is that? Why can't they get a regular job? Keep in mind, most of your kids are probably trying to get a hustle on in the music business. They see it like basketball, like football, as a way out. And unfortunately, a lot of people see it as a quick way out. And we're trying to just make sure if you're going to go down that path, have some proper tools, and that tool is knowledge. And so we've been talking to you tonight about that. And we got a whole lot of folks who have a lot of history in this business. On the phone lines with us is Mr. Al Robinson. He's somebody who's been around the Bay Area scene for a long time. We know him for the work that he's done as a label manager, and also now he does a lot of promotion. And you're working with some groups right now, right?
Yeah, I'm currently working with some groups and doing some production work, and still doing the promotion thing too.
Okay, and also on the phone line, Shorty from the Lynch Mob. The Lynch Mob, who we first knew on the scene because of you came out with Ice Cube. How you doing, Shorty?
Hey, man, I'm chilling, brothers. What's going on with y'all, man?
Well, Shorty, I've known you for a while, and I know you've gone through the ups and downs in this business.
Of course.
I mean, you've seen the good sides and the bad sides, and we've been asking everybody who's coming on to share with our audience a piece of information that folks listening can benefit from to either enhance their path down this musical in this musical field, or clear up a common misperception that a lot of folks have.
Well, you said the right thing, man. Gaining knowledge of this whole industry, man. I mean, brothers coming out first time as coming out for whether you're an R&B artist or a hip hop artist. You first of all you have to have the knowledge, because if you don't acquire the knowledge or get it, then of course you're gonna run into a few brick walls. You're gonna get frustrated. The monies ain't gonna come in like you thought it would be. Then that can turn kind of ugly, because you back to where you started from, being broke. You up against it already, so that you might turn into selling drugs. You might go commit a few robberies. So I would most definitely say to anybody that's listening who's looking to become a recording artist or, rather a producer, things like that, seek out those who've been in the game for a while and, and acquire the knowledge from them. Because, again, man, if you come into this blind, man, you're going to leave blind. And, again, man, the result of that can kind of be detrimental, man.
Let me ask you this. What is the one piece of knowledge that you wish you had prior to you signing and hook it up with Ice Cube that you wish you had, and might have made a difference for things for you now?
Well, again, of course, I wish brother would have really sat down with us and gave us the game, and to be honest with you, I mean, when we got with Cube, that was when he just split from NWA. He just kind of learned the game himself as far as, seeing how he got beat, being with NWA and them. And, once we came aboard, it was like all of us was like brand new into this, man. And really, I don't think he had the right people behind him who really could have schooled him better back then than now. Like I say, people saying that he split it from NWA, like, well, this is opportunity for us to jump on board now, and get paid. It was more of a pay thing to say, look, I'm gonna have you guys back. I'm gonna turn you on to this lawyer. You know what I'm saying? This lawyer can turn you on to some more lawyers where we gonna most definitely have you all back in this. I mean, we all know you have to have proper legal representation, because if you don't, man, shit, man, come on, man. You go, like I say, man, you gonna drown, man.
Okay. Well, hold that thought for a second. Got Jay King rolling in here. Jay, how you doing, man?
How you doing, David?
Good. Jay King, you're the veteran here, from Rumors to Club Nouveau, and now, making moves on the independent label, doing the independent thing. You've definitely seen your ups and downs. One of these cats that had millions in the bank account and then had nothing in the bank account. And I don't know if you have millions now, but, you look healthy, so that's good. What's the one piece of advice, what's the one thing that you would share with our listeners tonight about making it in the music business that they should know?
I think information, period. Most of us come into this business with no information, no real knowledge of the business.
Now, everybody's been saying that, but what concrete piece of information?
Period. We don't know. People say that, but do we really understand that? Do we understand that there's a real business side to this business? Do we understand what being a songwriter really is, and that there's a royalty that you get for being a songwriter, and what that royalty is? I think we come into the business and we have a very black and white perception of it. You make a record, you get a hit, you make money, but the record business is very gray. I think we've been bamboozled and hoodwinked by lawyers and by the whole industry at large to believe that the industry has a standard and we have to live inside that standard. And I believe that standard worked from the time the record business started up into maybe the 70s, maybe even the mid-80s, which was artists made records to tour. They made money doing live dates. That perception doesn't exist today. That whole, the way it's constructed now, it doesn't exist. Recording artists, especially rappers, can't tour, partly because of their own fault, because of the negativity that is related, because a lot of these rappers are former gangbangers, or former drug dealers that bring that same attitude to the stage. So we have to become informed about the industry we're in. We have to learn the etiquette of the record business, which even when I first started, I was just like any of these other kids. I was 23 years old with a bad attitude.
Let me ask you this. Let me kind of back you up for a second, and this is for everybody that's listening. That's on our panel. You said that you can't come in here with a certain type of attitude. I'm a former drug dealer or hustle off the street. And, earlier we said, the rap game is kind of like the hustle game. So a lot of people, they kind of treat it like that. Do you need street tactics to get over? Does it work in this business?
No.
No, it
look
doesn't?
at Suge. Suge Knight is a prime example. Here's a man who was worth hundreds of millions of dollars, who was bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars to the industry. And regardless of whether it was right or wrong, the bag that he was put in cast him in a negative light. And Suge Knight, who to me was arguably the most powerful African American in the business at the time that he went down, was able to be brought off the ladder. So if that can happen to Suge Knight, then surely somebody just off the streets, it ain't gonna work for him.
So this is a business, and we got to
treat it like a business, and we have to articulate it like a business, and we have to respect it like a business, and we have to educate ourselves like we're in a business. But most importantly, we have to learn the etiquette of this business.
Okay, that's a point.
Davey,
Yes, sir.
Can I say something to add to that, bro? You got to realize, man, in any business is war. You know what I'm saying? And you, because you're always competing, and you always got other people, man, that's countering what you're doing. Like the brother say, Suge was, and and still is a powerful brother and a threat to a lot of these high executives who fear a brother like that coming in here with a street mentality. Like, look, y'all not gonna pull that BS over on us. You know what I'm saying? We gonna get in here and get our money. You know what I mean? We know, and everybody that's on this panel know exactly what I'm getting ready to say as far as this. Hell, this is one of the most wickedest. How would I say it? In the industry, the music industry is one of the most wickedest spots to be in right now. For the simple fact, it's like a pimp and a prostitute. Of course, the pimp would never let his prostitute exceed him or be equal to him. And that's the way the pimp gets over on his prostitutes, because he's not letting her be equal or exceed him and doing what they do best. So you all know and you can agree, man, that really the artist will be put in that format of a prostitute.
But you would also agree that the artist has to have that knowledge, and I think you said that already.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the artist feels like, well, I got a posse and I got 50 people, and I've been in places where people roll up at 50 people, but some of these businesses, they're $100 million businesses, and you can bring the whole block down, but you're not going to shut a $50 million business down.
Right. I mean, you just got to be wise, man, in your movements, man. I mean, again, you can step in and try to be Don Corleone or Scarface, but if you do it in a wise way, I mean, you can get just what this other person is getting.
That muscle won't go too far, Davey.
Hold on a second. Let me get your comment now.
That muscle's not going to go too far. You know that, I'm still a Death Row employee, still working for Suge. And, I've heard the rumors and the speculation on what he's done. And just in general, there's a lot of hearsay. We don't know, has he put his hands on somebody to get his way? We don't know that's really a fact or not. But the bottom line is, you can't go into all these record stores and choke the manager into ordering your product.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You can't go down to the box and choke them into playing your video.
That's
you
true.
can't go up to KMEL and choke the all-star DJs into playing your record. It just ain't gonna happen.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So we definitely got to get some knowledge. Let me just kind of change up for a second. Also, we'll be joined in a second. We got Planet Asia and 427 walking in the house tonight. And we're talking about making it in the music business. And, folks, we're going to take some phone calls in a little while. Let me paint the picture for everybody, and then let's walk people through it. I'm at home right now. I know I got some skills. I think I could rap pretty good. I got some nice flow. People in the school, they think that, I can be the next, Puff Daddy or whoever, happens to have good skills, all right? How do I start? What's the first step? I'll start off with you, Billy, because you wrote this thing. What's the first couple of...
One of the things, too, I think we need to make a distinction for a lot of the people listening, like you're saying about the pimp and the whole analogy, and that is that's if you're signed to a major label. But if you do it yourself and you start out, which is the way to do it anyway, I think, when you're starting, because people aren't going to believe in you, so it's better if you do, that it's more about just controlling your own destiny. And it's like if I give you $1,000 and I say, look, Davey, will you take care of my money for me? Well, obviously you won't take as good care as I do of my own money. So it's better if I can control everything and then kind of do it there. So it's like do it yourself and believe in yourself, because everyone else is going to knock you down and going to doubt you.
Okay, well, let's say I'm going to start my own business. Do I write a business plan? Do I get the name first? Do I tell all my boys and we just all go into business together? What? Give me one first step, one or two first good steps to take.
You get the music.
Get the music.
And then you put it down on tape or on DAT or CD, and then you get it mastered and just press it up and get it out there.
Okay.
And I think you get a plan. I think that's the problem with. I think of course you get the music, but you have to study this thing.
Yeah,
you have to plan it.
Right.
You have to organize it, and then you execute the plan based on the organization.
Well, what are some of the key components to a plan?
I'm not saying first of all you have to have you have to have a business license. You should, in order to be a business and to be treated like a business and to be a professional, you have to look like a professional. You have to act like a professional. You have to walk and talk and think like a professional.
But even if I want to sell it off my trunk, even if I want to do like a Planet Asia, somebody seen him perform, even then?
When I did Rumors, the one thing that people loved was the fact that, because when we first did Rumors, there was no distribution for an R&B record that existed independently the way it existed for rap.
Right.
So we had to go. So if I didn't present myself to a club owner properly and explain to him what I was doing, he wouldn't let me come in this club and set my thing up and sell my records. And that's how Rumors first started. We used to go to a club, pay a DJ 30 or 40 bucks. The DJ would play my record. He'd make a couple of announcements because I got him in my pocket now.
Y'all never paid me, man. We came to clubs I was at, man.
We never played at a club. We never really set up. But, and that's how we started in Sacramento. And we took that same philosophy to Texas. And that's why the record broke out of Texas. There were so many more clubs in Texas. I was selling $1,000 records a night sometimes at $3.50, playing 4 or 5 clubs in Texas.
Okay.
But
So when you went to these clubs, right?
The presentation was right.
So you went to these clubs and got the DJ to play it. Then you had people there to sell your product.
Well, then I sold the product. The DJ would say, "Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? We have a brother in the club by the name of Jay King. He's got a record by a group called Rumors. It's by a group called the Atomic Social Club. You can't buy this record at any record store. You won't hear it on any radio station, but he's in the club tonight, selling his record for $3.50. It's $1.50 cheaper than you could buy it in the store. Support him. He's black, and check out the record."
And I remember those days in silks.
That's right.
In the back of silk.
Right.
Okay.
Hey, Davey, can I make a real quick point on what Jay was saying about that business license and all that?
Okay. This is Al Robinson speaking.
Yeah, and Jay, that's like my idol. I want to grow up and be like him, you know? And I'm going to tell you one thing about what he's saying. The reason you need to even start with a business license before you can get your music is because you need to now, once you get your music, go manufacture it, right? So if you don't even got a resale permit, you're already paying taxes for something that you're reselling that you're not supposed to be paying your taxes for. So if you want to get your pricing right, you just got to do the basic stuff. Go get your business license, get your reseller's permit.
Right. I would add one thing, since we're in the day of the high tech. Make sure you get your website name, your domain name, because there's a whole lot of artists that we know, including some very big ones in the Bay Area, that if you go to their name.com, it will not be owned by them. It will be somebody else in the middle of Canada talking about, well, if he want his website, I'll sell it to him for $1 million. So
right. So there's some startup costs you got. I mean, it's a couple $100 to register the domain name. $70.
Davey, another thing too, though, on the business tips, kind of carrying on what Jay said, is that it's also good to set aside money if you're going to be a legitimate business for taxes. And a lot of very successful rap artists have been hit up. They might have sold like 1 million records even, but they spend the money forgetting that you have to set aside 20, 30, 40% for taxes at the end of the year.
Let me get Johnny and his partner Brandon, B12, who has Bayside Entertainment Distribution. What's a couple of steps that somebody who's trying to get their hustle on in his music business? What would you suggest?
I mean, besides the business end, which you got to get that.
So we have a business plan, as Jay said.
Billy said you got to get the music, and that's not really easy too, because you got to kind of prove yourself to a producer or someone who has some equipment if you can't make the music yourself.
Well, let me ask you, where do I find a producer? I got nice skills, but I'm looking for a producer. I mean, we have 427 in here. We have T-Kash in here. I mean,
just about to say something.
Where do I find a good producer?
You either go to Guitar Center and buy some equipment and learn how to use it, or you just start hustling. Get out there.
Well, let's go on that point, because some people, when we started off, we mentioned, we had the little snippet that was playing, and a guy said, some producer told me to pay him $700, and I never heard from him. You hear these things. What's the proper relationship? And maybe Jay, you can also say, I'm trying to get some beats for my flow. You're a producer, Johnny Z.
I mean,
I come up to you. How do I do business with you so that you can produce a record and it works for me? Do you keep the record? Is it my record? I mean,
Yeah, that's part of it too. You got to kind of figure out what's going to happen from here on. If I do this for you and you rap on this song, this is how we're going to split it. This is, you got to get your business straight.
Davey, there's two ways you could go about that with a producer. You can, and these guys all know, I mean, it's pretty simple. You could try and find someone that's going to work with you on what I call spec. So you're not paying him production fees, which a producer rightfully deserves, and he's kind of a partner with you. Or you could just pay him for his services and work out a deal with him to where you own the music that he's making.
Okay. Let me
In
ask
any
you.
case-
Let me ask one thing, Michael Axon. Being a lawyer, do I need to get a lawyer when I start working with this producer? Do I need to put it in writing or what?
Yeah, at the risk of sounding lawyer-like, I don't want to. I think a lot of people prematurely go out there and get lawyers because you can go out there and get a lawyer to handle a transaction when you're going out there and buying a car. I mean, okay, I'm looking at this agreement. I better call my lawyer, and well, you don't do that, But you do know the basics of how to buy a car, and I think what most people, particularly in this game, don't do is know the basics of what are involved. There are just a handful of things that are involved. The biggest thing that's involved is who owns the songs, and I think it's amazing how much money is made on the publishing game. I teach a whole class of music publishing at San Francisco State that's how I met you.
So for people who don't understand publishing,
No.
so publishing means that every time we hear a record on the radio, or I decide, hey, I like that Snoop Dogg, the way he said bow wow wow, so I'm going to sample it and put it in my record, or I'm going to do like some other artists, I'm just going to take somebody's rhymes and do it myself. The person who did that initially, he gets paid for that,
Exactly.
right? Okay.
The sampling issue, we can do a whole night on sampling. I don't
we're
want to
not
get
gonna
too
do
far
that,
into
yeah.
sampling. But let's just do some quick math. And I think the quick math, Jay alluded to it a second ago. Every time you take a song, you put it on a record, the owner and publisher of that song makes it currently 7.55 cents. It's going to go up in January 2001. Well, add it up. You have 10 songs on a record. You're talking about 75 cents. And you get 1 million records sold. That's $750,000. Now, a lot of people, particularly in the hip-hop game, aren't even looking at that $750,000. And so, I don't even know that 750 exists, so I'll just hand it off to whoever is giving me the record deal. Now, starting with that basic issue, and then you got to deal with who owns the beats. Now, all of a sudden, I'm paying somebody a work for hire, which means I own their beats. That's a lot cheaper than all of a sudden I'm splitting that $750 down the middle.
Well, let's put it simply about sampling. I'm good friends with Chuck D of Public Enemy, and I remember when they did Fear of a Black Planet like 10 years ago, and they had sample after sample after sample. They had people's voices. They had my voice on it. I didn't even know. And they're still paying for the samples because people have been listening to those records and going, that was my baby crying on the back of the bus that day, and that's the reason why that record went good. So therefore, seriously, that's what happened. So the sampling thing is a whole other issue. But so what I wanted to just come back to, and also let me get some of the artists. We got 427 and T-Kash. I want to just. I hook up with like 427 and he's a producer and I'm a rapper. Do I need to have something in writing? Do I just have a handshake agreement? Do we just shake hands and say let's do this? Because it seems like all these handshake agreements, rumors is a perfect example, So what do we do just to have some sort of form going here?
Davey, in a perfect world, the handshake would be enough. In the imperfect world that we live in, I got news for you. Once that thing sells 500,000 units, everybody lies.
Okay.
Everybody forgot what the deal was. I've been in too many of those meetings where everybody forgot what the deal was. and then everybody scrambled because now you're signed to a major label, or now you got a major label that's pointing to one person saying, okay, now, 427, you're responsible for all of this stuff. Now he's got to scramble around and be responsible for clearing every sample, for making sure that all of the production agreements are tight, make sure that all of those things all those lines, T's are crossed and I's are dotted. And I think the unfortunate thing is the record industry counts on people in hip-hop not to have their business together. They're counting on that.
Okay. Let me ask 427.
Well, we're going through all of that right now. Just
you and Planet Asia.
Yeah, making Planet Asia's record. But are we talking about people who are just getting started right now?
You and
we talking
Planet
about people
Asia
who
just hook up. I just wanted to just give people an understanding about, they need to just at least have some sort of structure in their agreement because we have too many examples. We have people in the studio, people on the phone like Shorty and folks who, you come together as friends and you end up as enemies as soon as somebody's record blows up, and all of a sudden you're going, well, damn, I was in the studio with you all night, and you made $1 million, and I'm still driving a car, and living with my mom,
I'm from what I'm just coming in on a conversation, but it seems like if you to me, if you want to start out, I'm talking about from the bottom floor, you in the classroom banging on tables, and everybody likes your flow. You just got to go out there and do it wherever you can. I mean, there's open mics, there's underground shows. If you can't find a producer, we used to pause tape it, man. Two tape decks right next to each other, back to back. Take a little spot and loop it over, and hand the tapes out to your friends. You're gonna get a little rap, a little name everywhere you can be. Rhyme.
The Mystic Journeyman theory.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. This is how I met Planet Asia. I met Planet Asia. I met Planet Asia in a nightclub. He was rocking over somebody's through the headphones. J-Rock was spinning at the Cat's Grill down in the city. J-Rock was spinning with some instrumental. I knew the instrumental, but I knew it wasn't the MC that was on there. My man was on the headphones, screaming through there, doing his thing. And when I seen him, I was like, man. You know what I'm saying? That's a cat that's going for his. I mean, any MC, singer, guitar player, trumpet player, you got to go out there and be willing to die for your music. I mean, I'm not saying that, in a negative sense, but I'm saying you got to have that
coming
conviction.
in with a gun and shoot everybody.
You got to have that heart. I mean, and people will see that. Any producer can see that talent and that fire and that energy in you. Now, that's just getting started,
Okay.
Now, as far as having your agreements together, of course, you want to try to get everything on paper. Now, a lot of the things that I'm hearing the people say, is all good stuff. But some of the people that are out there that are really into the music and like the fun of it are like, oh man, it's a lot for me to think about. Man, I might not even want to rap anymore. You know what I mean? What you got to do is make sure that you put your stuff out front. You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna pay somebody, make sure you talk about that at the very beginning. Don't wait till the song's done. Don't wait till you got your master tapes. You're gonna go press it up and everything. That's like Axon said. That's when everything gets real fuzzy. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I mean, and then just put it in writing. Don't be afraid of contracts. Don't be afraid of contracts. What a contract is a reflection of whatever your deal was. You know what I mean? And then you guys, you just file it away.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You sign your contract. It says everything that you guys have already spoken about. Put it in your file. If there's ever a question.
So just don't do them handshakes no more.
If there's ever a question, you guys just go back and say, okay, now this is what we said. All right, fine, let's go on. And, this dispute's settled.
Okay. T-Kash, and then we'll take a break and come back and hit on some other things.
Well, man, I took the road less traveled, Dave. I became my own producer because of the hardships going to one producer to the next, and all the bad breaks of paying money and not being able to get my music when I need it, or oh man, this beat is sounding a little off. You know what I mean? What's going on, man? This isn't my vocals. You know what I mean? Just one bad thing after another. So I took the road less travel, man. I took that money that I could have paid a producer to give me some type of headache, and I went to Guitar Center and bought my own equipment, man.
Yeah,
and I taught myself how to produce. And I took what was raw. I took the beats, everything I had, and I talked to people. What do you think it is, man? This is whack. I ain't digging it. All right, I'm not doing that type of style no more. What do you think it is? Oh, this is tight. I'm digging it. So I did that, and then, I took my own little twist and put it in there and combined the two, man, what people wanted to hear and my own personal flavor, man, and I've just patented that now. But that's what I would suggest, too, man. Some people just, do it yourself, man. We all capable of what we want to do out here, man.
That's right.
Okay.
Hey, Davey.
Yo, this is Shorty from the Lynch Mob.
Man. Hey, it's funny that the brother said that. That's what we had to do on that first album, Gorillas in the Mist.
No, you didn't make
couldn't get no producers to produce that album, bro.
Yeah.
T-Bone went in there and got a SP1200. Woody went and got one, bro. Q went and got one, man, and we sat up in there, bro. I swear.
It's real,
Freedom
man.
got
that's
AK,
what's up.
Man. T-Bone that just got that SP12. He wasn't on there for a good month, man, and produced Freedom Got an AK. Lord Have Mercy. I mean, songs that turned out to be, some bomb tracks, man. So
yeah.
I bear witness to what the brother saying. If those out there can't get producers, get out there and be self-sufficient.
Real, man. This
buy the
industry
system and learn it, man.
My word is this industry can't give you or show you nothing you can't give or show yourself, man.
That's
yeah.
right.
That's what I done learned.
Let's take a break. We're going to come back and we're going to continue our conversation right here on 106 KMEL. We're talking about the music business. And folks, in about 10, 15 minutes, we'll take your call so you can ask folks questions. We'll be right back.
Do you need MEL jam all the way from ATL? I know all y'all can tell. If y'all can't and y'all go to, you know what I'm saying, we ain't even going to do all that.
All right. If you're just tuning in, we've been talking about the music business and just kind of giving people some ABCs to keep in mind. And we got a panel of man, you talk about experts all the way across the board. We have my man T-Kash. You just heard his record. You produced that too?
Yes, sir. Yes,
So you went out there and learned the SB12 and all that funny stuff?
Man, I have an old school DR5, man.
That's right.
And I got carpool tunnel syndrome working on that, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
We also have 427, who we got a chance to see tonight perform with Common. Good show. You guys did a great show tonight.
Thank you.
And got Planet Asia running around here somewhere. Got my man here. We also have Billy Jam. He wrote a great article a long time ago about why did I say doing the math?
Doing the math around the trunk. You know, it's basically saying that you don't even need to have an office. You can do it. If you have the music and you got a distribution deal, you can do it all yourself at the trunk with a cell phone and a voicemail and a P.O. box.
That's what you do, and this man puts out 20 albums, an album a month. I mean, one of the things we was talking, we also have, let me just reintroduce, we have Johnny Z, producer, In Too Deep, and a whole bunch of other folks, and his partner, Brandon. We didn't get any comments from you, so we're going to get your comments, Brandon, or B12. And also we have Mystic. You know her with Digital Underground. You also know her for her own work. You also did some stuff with Conscious Daughters, too, right? That's right.
Indeed.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, on the last album, we made it happen.
You got to talk directly in the mic, boo.
Sorry.
Okay. Hold on. Let me just.
Conscious Daughters, we made it happen. It was cool. We made it separate.
Let me just go all the way down the line. We have Jay King. You might know him from Club Nouveau, among other things. Michael Axon, he's an attorney. And on our phone lines, we got Shorty from the Lynch Mob, and we got Al Robinson, who's also a promoter. Let me just get a couple of comments from B12 and also Mystic. Let me start off with you, Mystic. You being the only female here, are there unique challenges that you find you know, when it comes to trying to make it in this music business? Do you have to come and have your blouse cut all low and everything, and you know, use sex appeal, or can you just be taken seriously as a business person who's trying to just do the right thing?
I think what happens is that hip hop is like a microcosm of what happens in the rest of the world. So the way that it moves, the way that it elevates is exactly the same. Personally, my experience is it ain't been that rough for me. I feel like as a female, the way that you carry yourself, the way you represent yourself, the way you rhyme, your skills, your business acumen, that's what sets you apart. So,
well, let me ask you this, and also want to ask the other artists that are here, how important is image in terms of trying to make and establish yourself in this business? You know, some people, I see them, they get on stage, they say, man, I'm trying to keep it real and represent my neighborhood. And so, to me, it's like, man, I don't know if that's a marketable image. And then other people, they come up with a whole gimmick. You know, I'm going to have, you know, blue turban on my head and, you know, pink slippers.
I think what happens is a lot of times that the image that is come up with is created by the label.
Really?
Created by the people who have the most to gain from what you're doing. My whole thing has always been that my image is that I have no image. I'm just a regular kind of female, regular kind of chick, above average MC.
But can you sell without an image? I mean, we're a society that gravitates.
I don't know that you can sell without an image. You can't sell nothing without an image. There's nothing that happens within society today in the USA, any continent in the world that we know of, that doesn't have an image to it. It's just, as an artist, you have to maintain control and have to be aware that that's really marketable. And do you want to sell your soul to market your music, or do you want to just like kind of cool back, peep the game, and like be like, yo, this is the way I want to move?
Okay.
You know?
Planet Asia, let me ask you, do you have to have an image to sell yourself?
Everything is image. Even if, like she said, her image is not having an image, that's an image.
Okay.
You know, like when Tribe Called Quest first came out, you know, they had flower suits on and all that, and then they came back, they had sweatshirts on with baseball caps. I mean, I think people just do whatever they feel that year. You know what I'm saying? Like back in the day, people had afros. You know, if it was the 70s, I probably have an afro right now with some bell bottoms on.
But she said something interesting, and Shorty, you can also comment on this. You know, the labels, a lot of times they try to construct an image. I mean, I remember that with digital. I mean, I remember the first concept that Digital Underground had was one thing, but when they did the Humpty dance, the label was like, we want more Humpty songs. And Shock was like, but I'm into this funk thing, and it became a big conflict. So
I mean 10 years later, everybody who's supposed to be coming out of digital, it's like they want the same image. And for those of us who coming up through the ranks, I'm like, yo, I'm different. You know what I mean?
But to me, it's like your first impression could be your last impression. So when you come into a major label, you got to already have your plan set. You already got to know what you're in the game for, you know?
Okay.
I'm Swift. Me, myself, I made it where I can be swift and changeable, where if I decide to grow my hair, I can cut it off, and you wouldn't care. You know what I mean? You don't know me by some hat or dreads or afro or braids. You know what I'm saying? I try to stay as neutral as possible.
That's a good point he made, Davey. Because I mean, I've seen a few artists that came out a certain way, and later on in the years, try to change that image that they had made for themselves, and basically their albums flop, man. So you have to be very careful, like the brothers say. When you come into this, you got to know that, well, if I want to create where I could be universal, then let me come out that way to where down the line, if I decide I want to, like the brothers say, grow natural or change a little image on this side, he can do it.
Okay, let me ask this to Jay King. Image. You're working with a lot of those groups. Did Club Nouveau have to have an image when you guys were touring? How important is that?
I think we had a problem. The problem was that we had hit records first, and so I felt like I should be judged based on my music. Period. You shouldn't what I look like, because in the beginning, if you notice, I didn't put pictures of the group because we had such a crossover appeal from the very beginning. I felt like what color I was or what I looked like didn't matter. People thought we were Jamaican. Some people thought we were from the East Coast. But it's the worst mistake I ever made, especially doing
not having that image.
And not having an image, not having a definition of who we were, and having something to build on. Even people that have images, like the brother said, Tribe Called Quest came out one way. They had an image, but they were able to evolve. The same with Run DMC. The same with a lot of groups, especially during our era.
Right.
That came out, the people that were able to evolve made it past it. Keith Sweat is somebody who has a very simple image, but he evolves enough and changes enough and does enough little bitty things that he continues to play.
But everybody would agree the important thing is to have an image that you can control. Otherwise, the label will hand it to you. But
you have to control yourself as a human being, as a brother, a sister. You have to make peace with yourself and the path that you're traveling on. And unless you do that, this business will twist you every which way, destroy you, break you down. It's no other way about it, period.
But,
hold on a second. Let me just get Johnny Z, and then we'll come to you, Al. Go ahead.
With video being so important, image has become more important than talent. And unfortunately, there's a lot of groups out there that have little or no talent, but they're making all the money. And it's because they wear a red hat, or they, they comb their hair a certain way. And, that's where it's going. Especially if you're dealing with a major, that's more important than what your song sounds like.
But if we're starting off and we're just trying to make records on the independent thing, let me ask you, do you really need to have a video right now, Billy? Do you need to have a video?
Videos are expensive to do, and if you're on a low budget, no one will play them. You'll spend if you get away with $15,000, you're lucky, but then you can't get anyone to play it. But I was just going to say about Image. Image starts
with because you got to pay to get those videos.
You do have to pay. You pay someone like so many $1,000 just to try and push it to
not only that, but BET says if your video isn't costing $300,000, they're not even going to play it anyway. So whether you got the right promotion guy working your video or not, you're still not going to be able to.
But Davey, just
we broke through on that.
Yeah, but just getting back to the basics. Image starts just with even the name. So your name, try and come up with a different name. There's so many Mac this and Dre that and MC this. If you have an unusual, Planet Asia is a unique name. You remember that. So when I go to the record store and I'm looking for it, I remember, because, we're bombarded with all these names and images, and you need a good name so that it stands out from everyone else, not just the music.
But you don't want to get it to be a gimmick either, though. You don't want me to call myself MC Snuffleupagus, and that's not really,
But if I remember it, that's good. When I go
you know
to
what
the
though?
store.
I think that above and beyond all of that, your music and your soul is supposed to shine through. You know what I'm saying? To where an MC like Planet Asia or Mystic, what's really powerful about what they do is their soul. So they can take their soul is what drives them, so their physical form can change in any direction. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? What people are really buying into, what they should be buying into, is who that artist is, and they watch them grow and change and you know, change their gear, change their hairstyles. You know what I'm saying? But if it's just this outer shell image that people are grabbing onto, once that's played out, you're done. You see what
Okay,
I'm saying?
let me ask one other question. Then we're going to take a bunch of these phone calls, 1-800-955-KMEL, and let's go kind of down the list and get everybody's opinion on this. One of the biggest complaints, especially if we're talking about hip-hop, is how the artists present themselves, especially to the public. There's been, I mean, I'm glad I got a chance to see you and Common perform tonight, you know, Planet Asia, because y'all did a good show. It wasn't 50 people on the stage. It was, you know, you engaged the crowd. You came there on time. It wasn't that, but I mean, I've gone to shows where there's 45 people on the stage. The sound is bad. You know, the MC doesn't have a backup plan in case the sound doesn't work, so he's cursing. You know, if I go to one more rap show where they go, turn it up, turn it up, you know, that you don't want to do. Then we have other cats where, you know, I get afraid to bring certain artists on the air, you know, because it's like, hey man, tell me about your album. Man, you know, just trying to keep it real, you know, just trying to represent up here, you know.
Well, you know, I'll tell you something, man. I'll tell you something. Half of the problem with half of the problem with the technology and where it is today is that, you know, it makes everything easy for anybody to get on and do their thing. You see what I'm saying? It's to a point now where anybody can spend a couple $100, go get some equipment and do their thing. You know.
But that's a good thing. But at the same time, let's
double-edged sword. Let's say it's a double-edged sword.
Let's pass some information along to people. Is there a proper way to present yourself and promote yourself?
Yeah,
so
I mean, you got to be professional.
I would say you got to look at the greats, all the people that was great in this game, and analyze how they did things. I'm not saying like be exactly like them, but you have to study artists. You know, I study this hip hop. You know what I mean? Like I know other artists' lyrics. You know what I mean? You got to really be into the game. Like if it's like a basketball player. Like when I go over my boys' house, they play hoop. They're playing NBA 2K all day, watching ESPN. You know what I mean? You got to be into it. If you're not really into it, you're not gonna get nowhere, or it's not gonna really last that long. You know, because it's not really you.
Okay.
And as far as
let me go ahead.
I was gonna say as far as the professionalism level, I mean, you just got to do it. It's a job, people. It's not just fun and games. You on TV, you know, watching BET, girls pouring wine on people. You know what I'm saying? It's not really.
No more videos with the girls.
It's not really. It's not really like that. You know what I'm saying? Those parts are in there, you know, or else they wouldn't show you that. But that's over exaggerated. You got to be on time. You know what I'm saying? You got to know your business. Know how to count your marbles. You see what I'm saying? Have your team together. You can't just think that you're gonna run around, you know, pushing people around, and it's not necessarily the drug game turned into rhyme form. You know what I mean?
It's two type of artists.
Hold on, let me get a couple of other comments, and they'll come back to you, T-Kash, and then I'll go to Al Robinson and Mystic.
I think it's two things, Davey, man. It's what the brother said, Planet Asia, man. Number one, you have to know this game, and you got to study it, and you have to know why people are great and why people are bad, as far as you as an artist and your sound, and what people like about you. What is good?
What is supposed to be good? I mean, is it good to have 40 people on the stage?
I don't think it is good to have 40 people on the stage if out of all 40 people, the crowd isn't hype and your music sounds bad. You know what I mean? It's certain things, and it would be good if, you know, all 40 people are on your album and they rapped, but I don't know. That to me, it's like, that's insecurity to me. You know what I mean? I get up there by myself, man, and a bunch of people who ain't never heard of me before and rap before. I get up there with 40 people and, like, you know, slit my own throat in the game.
Well, what about when you conduct yourself on interviews and magazine things and all that?
That's my other thing, is that number two, one lesson that I learned, man, just by myself, man, is that you do have to be professional in certain places. You can't go up into, I can't go up into the CEO's office of a major record label with a t-shirt on and some Dickies and some house shoes. Yeah, my name T-Kash. I'm trying to get a record deal. You know, you got to go in there and you have to have the proper paperwork, the proper attire, the proper game plan, because they want to see what can you bring me to the table as far as what, you know, and vice versa.
I got one example of that, though.
Hold on one second. Billy, how, you know,
I was going to say it is very important to conduct yourself in a business-like manner, because I've seen, like, doing radio interviews and that, I've seen so many people, they just don't show up, or they're all blunted out and dead late. And it's like, it is a job. And just even if you have a #1 hit single in the country, it doesn't mean that you're on top of the world forever. So and people take it for granted. You have to be humble and always hardworking.
So let's get a couple of rules. If you do an interview, don't come blunted and high. be prepared to sell yourself.
Man,
This
show up.
is your opportunity to sell
Period.
yourself. Let me get Sean Kennedy from Ill Trends Productions. My man is always around the town, billboards, sniping up posters, the whole nine, marketing the artist. How important is your presentation, and especially if you're an artist. Plus, you're an artist too.
Oh yeah. Well, I think your presentation is everything. I had a chance to listen to the show on my way over here, and there were some things that I think that should have been touched on that wasn't. And when we look at the average age of an artist, we look at how old was LL Cool J when he started off?
16.
And how old was Brandy when she started off?
Was 13 or 14?
Belle Biv DeVoe.
Right.
Okay, so now we're starting to, see that these people are young people. And we look around this room and we see everybody in here is almost 30 years old, 25 years old.
Right.
So they okay.
I'm 24, brother. Planet Asia just turned 24.
Planet Asia. Right. But what I'm trying to say is,
go ahead.
What I'm trying to say is that it takes a certain amount of education, and some of these people don't develop that education because some of these people are just now learning algebra and stuff like that in classrooms. So what I'm noticing inside record labels is there's poor artist development going on. And then when you look at managers, really a manager is someone who works for you, not someone who controls you. So when you don't know what's really going on, then you have somebody who has, 15 years experience over you, then he's going to come in and explain to you what's going on so he can make his money, because this place is filled with sharks and vultures. And if you notice, most of the people who run these record labels, they're lawyers.
Oh, so you're saying the lawyers are bad?
Well, I'm just saying the lawyers are what they are. Ask OJ.
Okay.
But no, to make my point is that the young people, they don't have the proper education. We can talk about distribution all day long. Music, that's a natural talent. All you have to do is perfect that. You can rhyme all night. You can beat on bongos. You can program SB12s and stuff like that, but that's a natural talent, something that God gave you. If you perfect that, then you're going to be great at that, no matter if you make a hit record or not.
So let me ask you, in lieu of what you're saying, how do we change the terrain so little Johnny, the next LL Cool J, 16 years old, who figures hat backwards, gold teeth, and a bad attitude is the way to go, because that's what he sees on the video. How do we influence him so that he can come out and do it the proper way?
Well, that goes along with home. That's your parents watching you as a kid grow up and then find out your interest and then take an interest in what you're doing and try to lead you in the right direction. See, when I was growing up, my father, he watched everything we did. So when he saw us wanting to play football, he was there on the sideline. When he saw us wanting to be in a band, he went and bought us a trombone. See, and he followed us along the way. So if little bad Johnny has his hat flipped backwards with gold teeth in and mom's not watching that, then little bad Johnny might go out and sign a bad deal and be a disgruntled artist in a few years.
Right.
Okay.
But I also think that our industry owes it to the young people that are coming into it. I think we have to rethink this business. We have to reconstruct this industry because the artists are getting younger by the minute. And we owe it to young people to give them information. And I know even when I first started, I started in 1986, and I was 23 when we did Rumors, and I was considered a youngster at 23. When I first came to record business, people said, man, this guy is young. Right now, if you're 23 making a record, you're kind of old.
Yeah, people say
because these kids are coming in at 14 and 15 and 16 years old now. So I think the record industry has to prepare people for failure and success. Because I know that even in the beginning of my success, and I was 23, so I was old enough to know better. I was still just from the hood. I had just come up out of the hood and just hustled on a record that became a hit, and I made a lot of money. But I didn't know what I followed what was in front of me. So, everybody in front of me, when you got a hit record, you got a limo, you got this, you did all the things that people do that are bling blinging, as they call it today. And that's what I did.
Right.
And that was absolutely wrong. And like you say, you got to pay for these mistakes. The wonderful thing about it is that I've never drank or smoked, so I was never high. So I can't blame it on ever being high. I never did any kind of drugs.
Right.
I never drank any alcohol. So I was coherent through every ego trip that I went on, and I went on them.
Right.
But I think a lot of these young people are blinded from the very beginning. A lot of them are high. A lot of them don't understand what they're about.
I
to
can't tell you
embark
how
on.
many interviews I've done where somebody's just been completely in another world.
Yeah, and
Feeling like that makes
And I
me more
think,
creative.
and when we came up, people didn't give us information because we thought they were holding it back from us, but what I found out is they didn't have the information.
Right.
Now we have the information, and anybody who knows me knows that if you call me on my phone, my phone rings throughout the whole day because you can call me. If you know me, you can say, Jay, give me your number. I'm gonna give you my home number, and you can call me and ask me anything you want to ask me.
Go ahead.
But I think sharing information, and that's what we have to get used to doing. And young people, I have to express this to the young people out there. You all have something that we never had the opportunity to have, and that is you have the opportunity to own your intellectual property and control it. You are the power broker. You have so much more control than we had in the industry in the mid 80s. Don't lose it. Take advantage of it. Embrace each other. There's so much out here, and there's so many this industry can be so much more better if we all communicate with each other. If you guys really want to do rap concerts, quit bringing your neighborhoods with a nasty attitude to the stage. If you really want to do shows, before you guys get on stage, deal with each other. And in the audience, let the audience know from the time you get up there on stage. Look, if I say something up here, I am doing my pain on stage for you. I'm doing a movie in music for you. So don't take me literally. Explain to the people what you're about to do. But we owe it to young people to give them the information, and young people owe it to themselves to start to educate, learn, and I can't say study, plan, organize, execute. You follow those 4 things.
We're going to take a break, come back. We'll continue and take your calls right here on 106 KMEL. About the music business, and got a whole slew of people here. We're going to take some of your calls right here, and let's kick it off with Evan out of Richmond. How you doing?
How's it going?
Good. What's your question?
Yeah, this is where I'm coming from. I'm coming from, like, little clubs, like little $5 shows, 924 Gilman shows,
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering, like, what's the difference between the rap industry and the rock industry? How long does it take to get famous? Because I'm hearing about, like, the Papa Roach. I've seen him, like, 3 years ago at this little tiny club at Petaluma. And,
Jay?
Can I speak and say that I think that the difference between rock and hip-hop or rap is that the business puts a lot more money into the labels, put a lot more money into putting artists out on the road and working them forever. Because there's people like Jewel, people like Papa Roach, Gwen Stefani, all them, they've been out forever. Literally 3-4 years doing shows before the albums blew up and sold millions.
Okay, I was going to say the difference between rock and rap in terms of marketing is sort of similar to R&B. With a lot of rock groups, it's harder to go. You can't just go slanging tapes out of the booth of the trunk of your car, unless it's like punk rock. You can kind of do it that way. But most rock that's popular today, you can. Same with R&B. It's very difficult. You have to kind of get to a high level. Whereas with rap, you can do it on a very underground street level.
But the alternative music is similar to the rap music. And the difference is they were able to build audiences prior to going to a major label, where rap music doesn't have the same type of tours, club support.
Well, it's not even just a tour, but we've all worked at college radio.
Yes, and they don't have the college radio.
And you don't have that type of net entry into the game with rap. You do have a lot of rap shows on some of the college stations, but nowhere in the way that you have it on the rock.
Well,
there's a lot of investment. But part of the big problem is that you have the scenario where a lot of rap artists simply can't tour, not to the degree that the rock artists can.
I met with a brother named David Litton, who's over at Capitol Records now. He used to be at Arista.
I know David.
I read an interesting article on that, man, and I spoke to him about it. He mentioned in this article that the way that the business looks at rock groups is they look at them as a standpoint. Okay, we're gonna put out this record. It might sell a couple thousand units, 100,000 units, a brand new group. And then what they'll do is they'll push and they'll tour them and they'll really take a stance of development on that artist. Now with hip hop acts, if it doesn't go platinum the first single, you're done.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It's like they look at with the black music in general. If it doesn't come out and just take off right away, oh, let's toss it. It's not hot. It's not hot. It's not happening. We throw it away. You see what I'm saying? It's a mentality inside the business.
Disposable music.
Yeah, exactly. You see what I'm saying?
And unfortunately, you got a lot of people that are so hungry to get into the game. They're like, well, if you throw Planet Asia away, I'm here to take his place for free. Let me take your call, Jesse from Union City. How you doing?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Good. What's up?
I have a question about networking. How do you go about establishing a network? And once you have a network, of industry people, how do you go about utilizing them?
Well, let me get Brandon and then maybe Al Robinson, networking, and then we also get Sean Kennedy to answer that.
Let me clarify something first. Are you speaking on networking as far as meeting other individuals in the industry?
Yes.
I think the most important thing that was touched on earlier, now that we're in this internet generation, is go get your website. Dotster.com will sell it to you for $15 for a year now. You can promote the heck out of that website and get a lot of people that'll hit you up interested about your music or marketing or whatever it is you do. The next thing that I know I grew up on before when I was a street promoter before doing distribution and from the school of Jay King, and actually my teacher, Michael Axon, who taught me at DVC, is that it's important to show up at all these seminars that you can. A lot of people say no business gets conducted there, and that's true to a extent. But at the same time, this is where all the power brokers are. The Gavin seminars, which no longer exist, the urban networks.
Well, let's back that up.
Yeah.
Business gets done, but a lot of people go to the seminars to party.
True.
You know, and it's like whenever you go to a gathering, like all these people in this room, this is a networking opportunity.
That's right.
All the people that was at the Common and Planet Asia show was a networking opportunity. Some people go to some of these events and they're just like, well, my time to get high, have a few drinks and meet the girls and call it a day. And
well, it's also your best opportunity to reach to meet that A&R director that won't return your call while he's high, while he's getting with that girl.
Exactly.
And he'll give you his business. Seriously.
Then make sure you're partying with them and meet them.
I can't hear the caller. What'd he say? What'd you say?
I was laughing.
Oh, okay. I know that a lot of my contacts in the industry, nobody would return my calls at one point. Some of them in this room now. Just playing. All of my boys are in here now. But no, I know that that's the best place where the guards are down and there's nobody protecting them from the public world. And if you got an opportunity to go to those seminars, it's a great chance.
Al or Shorty, anything you want to add to networking?
Yeah, I was going to just say, basically, for me, I didn't even...
Hold on a second. Hold on. It's two of you talking. Al, go first.
All right, I was just going to say to the caller there that, like B12, man, get to these seminars and get to shaking some hands and meeting these people, even if they are getting high or drinking. Even if you don't drink, have yourself a Coca-Cola with them, man. And it's the best time to really talk to somebody if they're really relaxed and they really ain't talking a whole bunch of business. Go to your local retail stores and talk to your managers. That's all networking. You got to meet all these people, and from the retailers all the way up to the nightclub DJs at your local nightclub to the industry people at seminars. I started out with a business card. I hate to say it, I don't even got my internet access isn't even where it should be yet, you know what I mean? And I'm still networking just off of a handshake and my business card. So.
I'll give you just a little bit of game for everybody listening. One of the best things you should do is ask for everybody's business card and phone number. I always collected people's business cards and I kept it, and then I was always able to follow up on my own convenience, Let me write them a letter. Let me send them a Christmas card.
Right.
Now, how many of y'all used to get my homemade Christmas cards back in the days, So that was like my...
emails. I sell them on eBay nowadays.
I know. Those words are... Shorty, what did you want to add? And let me take another call after you, Shorty.
I was going to tell the brother, opportunity presents itself, get down with it. And same thing you said, get cards from everybody, bro. Information like that, bro, you can go a long way with,
Okay, and you never know who you're going to meet.
Exactly.
The person that you think is making coffee today might be the person who can get your foot in the door somewhere else down the road. Like I always tell people, like the secretaries and the receptionists, those are some of the most important people that you can meet.
Remember their names.
Like the receptionist at this station is going to be the one that can put your call through the person you need to talk to. So if you treat her like crap, she'll be like, yo, he just gave me a bad attitude and your call is not going through. So
relationships is the word.
Yeah, so some of those receptionists and secretaries, you might want to get to know them pretty well because they could give you the full scoop. Let's go to JP. How you doing, man?
Not JP.
Oh, what's your name?
Dana.
Dana. Okay, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Good. What's up?
First of all, I wanted to say what's up to B12 and tell him thank you because I've picked his brain a few times and he's given me invaluable advice.
Oh, this Dana from the V?
Oh, please believe it.
Do your thing, girl.
You
She's in the industry now.
You know.
So what do you want to add to it?
I have a question for Johnny Z, actually. Seeing how I watched you kind of grow up with In Too Deep and now you've sort of made the switch over to Scapegoat Wax, how important do you think it is for a label to have some diversity?
Okay, Johnny Z.
For me personally, you know, it's great. I love a lot of different music, and I enjoy producing a lot of different groups, a lot of different music. Any chance I get to produce like a rock band, I'll jump on it. And to me, it's all music. It's all something that you know people are gonna enjoy, that you gotta enjoy making it. So it's not that hard. If it's something that I really like, or the artist I really like working with him, I'll
Let me ask you. Let me ask anybody here. You know, as an artist, if Planet Asia, you know, or T-Kash, you're coming out with one sound, and you decide to flip up and do something with Limp Bizkit or something. Can that be helpful, or does that hurt your career, or what?
Yeah, like I said, you got to be swift and changeable. You got to be able to do anything. You know, like on my album, I got R&B on my album. You know what I'm saying?
You got R&B song?
Yeah. Because I'm into that. I grew up off of that. So I got to bring you me. You know what I mean? I can't hide that.
But what happens to the fan that goes, man, that's not Planet Asia?
And that's my true fan. He gonna accept it. You know?
Okay.
Well, I feel like it's once again 2 points to it. You know, if you're in a situation where you have the time and money, this is just how I feel, to grow and say, yeah, I want to do a song with Limp Bizkit, even though my market is the same market that buys like an E40 or a JT, the bigger figure, then, you know, I can do it. But if I'm hot right now and they buying my music because of a certain sound, I'm not going to walk away from that just so, you know, I can free my mind. I can do it other ways. There's a nice hot tub around the corner somewhere. I can do, you know what I mean? So it's not like, I think if you can afford, on a business level, if you can afford to stretch your horizons, do it. But on a creative level, you know, hey, if it gets you better than you were, then hey, I don't mind. Limp Bizkit, you know what I mean? Corn.
People like to see
whatever.
People like to see unexpected, you know, collaborations. You know, I never like getting albums when you can just expect to hear a certain cat on here. You know what I mean?
Right.
I like to go far out with it sometimes, you know, because that's what music is about. You know what I'm saying? People want to see that.
Let me take a call here. Call here on KMEL. Who's this? 106.
It's Dave Cook. How you doing, Davey?
Hey, what's up?
All right.
Same name as mine. Okay.
Yeah, well, you know how it is, brother.
Go ahead. What's up?
All right. I just want to say what's happening to Jay King and Johnny Z over there. I just
What's
see this
up,
brother
Dave?
Small. How
What's
you
up,
doing,
Dave?
bro? Yeah, I've been really listening to the conversation tonight, you know, and being a father that's been with his son in the industry, trying to strive and make it out there. You know, I think it's a good. The doors are open enough for the young people out there. And I do want to make a comment as far as his emails and electronic media. It's a new way for a lot of groups to cross over and be able to get to the record companies. And I know they were talking about professionalism earlier, and that's very important to present yourself in the new state-of-the-art fashion. I mean, everybody's sending big videotapes and big packets. You know, now they're basically sending electronic press kits and things like that as small as a business card, you know, that can fit about 40 megabytes of information, which is very important. And I want to say, as far as the crossover with a lot of the groups, I ran a club down in Vallejo, and we tried out some of the hard rock and some of the different groups with the hip-hop. And I think what it is, they just got to get introduced to it. I think the rap is spreading out like Kid Rock and a lot of different groups, such the same thing Johnny Z doing is a lot of the kids are wanting to hear it, and I think it can be real versatile, but it's about promotions and marketing and all that, and a lot of them don't have the budget to do it. So
Okay.
I think the more P&D deals we get out there and help these youngsters build a network with the money and make some good things happen, I think you find a big turn in the industry. And one more little comment about as far as the clothing and some of the wear. It's always good to be creative, you know, as a youngster out there and come out with something very new, because right now it's a time for different. The industry needs something different. So
something refreshing.
Right, there you go. So we're really trying something new with Chance. So I want you guys to look out for that new album to get ready to drop. We're really pushing it.
Okay.
Try to make some things happen. And I appreciate your support, Davey D, in the past and making this happen. We're ready to rock and roll now.
Okay.
Little Bow Wow coming out of the Bay.
Okay, peace to you, and thanks for the call. Let me ask Al Robinson and some of the other folks, Sean Kennedy. Here I am with my product. Some key steps for marketing and promoting it and getting it out there to the masses. What's some of the best ways? He mentioned the internet is one way. Are there some other steps that I should be taking to try and promote myself?
I firmly believe in still hitting the turf. The internet is cool. It's fine. It really reaches a lot of people that are plugged into the electronic media. But to me, all my homies, none of them are spending time on the internet that I know looking for their music. They still out here finding out what's new by being in the street, and they just get it given to them by promoters like myself and Sean and, whatnot. We pass out little promo tapes. So the best thing is to make yourself some promos and pass it out and spread your little word in the streets, The internet's cool, but, I can't really speak on it too much. I'm not that internet cat.
Okay, Sean?
Yeah. Well, I think if you're an artist, knowing your demographics is the most important thing. And if we really look at the buying audience of today is between 12 and 24 for rap music. So you definitely want to make your presence at high schools and whatnot. Even if you hit off a school that has 5,000 students and you're able to successfully reach at least 10% of that school, you probably touched about 200-300 kids. So, that's where I would start at. I would try to get the kids, to rally behind me and get my fan base going at the schools.
Okay.
And that'll get you out there.
So hit the high schools like everybody else. Everybody's trying to hit the high schools. J. King, promoting, getting your word out there about your product and you as the artist and what have you?
I think Sean said something that was very important. Know your demographic. But I think also you got to know the market. A lot of people street teams used to be very effective in the Bay Area. But I don't think street teams are as effective anymore just as street teams. And when you have a street team now, you should buy advertisement at KMEL because you're going to want KMEL to eventually play your record, and you're going to want some of the mix jocks to spin the record. But if you're not supporting the station, then how can you? So I think you have to know what your marketplace will hold. The Bay Area used to be a place where when you put a record out, the average artist was going to sell 15,000 units in this market. That day is over with. The average artist in this market is now selling less than 5,000 units. There was a time when you could sell 60, 70,000 units on a high end as a rapper in this market. Now, you got artists who are normally selling 60, 70,000 selling 25, 30. So we know that the marketplace is saturated, so you have to be whoever's the most creative. When you start talking about promotions in this market, the two names that come up the most are Sean Kennedy and Al Robinson. So you have to make sure that whoever's out there doing your promotions, that they're viable. And if you can't afford them, then you have to get out there and you got to build this thing from the ground up and do it yourself.
Okay, Billy, let me get a comment from Billy
I was
Jim.
just going to say that, with marketing, there's so many ways you can go. We talked about the videos earlier that are very expensive, and if you only have a certain budget and you can't afford posters, there are things you can do. Just do stickers and slap them up at the Toll Plaza at the Bay Bridge, or do T-shirts and give them to people like Planet Asia or Mystic who will wear them on stage at a show or something like that. And be creative about it if you don't have a large budget.
We used to go to Kinko's, man, and make and draw or whatever we had to do. We'd go to Kinko's and make flyers on just regular paper, pass them out at whatever show was going on. We go out to the front, low budget, dirt style. That's how, seriously, that's how we used to do it. I had paper Kinko stickers, and I used to stick them up all over my college and any place that I went to.
But does that make a difference? If I'm seeing your sticker up on the Bay Bridge,
I'm gonna tell you something. It's all about name recognition. When people walk into that record store and they see that Planet Asia, that Mystic, you know what I'm saying, that T-Kash or whatever, and either they're gonna do one or two things. They're either gonna say, I never heard of that. Let me go look at this, Talib Kweli or whatever, or they're gonna say, damn, I heard of that. You know what I'm saying? Let me pick this up and look and see what's on there.
What about doing some things like, I know T-Kash, you was doing like a bunch of community stuff. You was going out and just, going to like the juvenile halls and actually doing community stuff. Is that a good way to do promotion? Or
You're damn right, man. I was in juvenile hall teen counselor for 4 years, and I'm gonna tell you why it works. Those kids remember you because I was their age. I knew half of them from the street. Don't ask me why. And when they got out, they remembered it. I had one cat, my boy Shaka Loke from Funktown, California, in the O. I saw him the other day. He said, Tom, I'll never forget that, man. Everybody up there, them little fake counselors was trying to, rig me up so I can get write-ups and everything. But you and your group, the East Bay Omega Boys Club at the time, you really sat me down and helped me out, man. And I never talked about rapping back then to them. They knew I rap, but I talked to them about totally different stuff, man. And they see me now, and that small impact has a big impact on the streets. You know what I mean? Because I think Al Robinson gave a good point that I think needs to be broadened, is that, the streets is watching and the streets are listening. You know what I mean? And half of these people out here that are buying the records are people who want to be down with the streets. So they buy anything they feel that the streets, quote unquote, are listening to. You know what I mean? So I go out there and I don't want to walk through Hunters Point. Man, I go to Hunters Point, and I'm from Oakland, and I go to West Mob, you know what I'm saying, Harbor Road, and say what's up to people I know out there and sell my CDs and pass out my flyers, because the streets are watching and the streets are listening, and there are people who are listening to the streets because they want to be down with that, and they go to the record stores and they spend their money as well. And, that's just the way I see it, man.
Okay, Shorty, let me get you.
Well, first of all, man, you just got to you can't be afraid of your peoples, man. Yeah. Like the brother say, you got to be able to get out there, man, no matter where you go, rather it's Hunters Point, West Point, where, Oakland, Berkeley. You just got to be out there, man, and to make your thing pop, man, you just got to be everywhere, man. With, like you say, with T-shirts. If you can't get T-shirts, go get flyers. Can't get flyers, go get some stickers, whatever it takes, man. And main thing, though, is making sure you have good quality music and making sure that your lyrics is tight. Because personally, I ran across a few people, man, who presented their tapes to me. And, just because they, my peoples, I went on ahead and bought it. But the production and the lyrics was, boo-boo. So I would say, really to get a good name for yourself, coming out the gates like that, make sure that your product is airtight, man, because with airtight product, man, hell, the word gonna get around.
Okay.
That's all pieces of the puzzle, Dave,
That's
and,
right.
You and Jay touched on something like, is street promotion still working? Does it work? Is it viable? And, yeah, it works. To some extent it works, but, yeah, like Jay says, there's some extent that it ain't working no more. And like you're saying, getting a flyer and walking out of Maritime and somebody handing you a flyer, are you going to go buy that tape? Probably not, but it's a gross impression that you're getting, and all the gross impressions add up.
Okay.
Touching on what Al was saying and what Jay was saying about the street teams being viable, it goes all the way back to education again, because Jay touched on something about running commercials on KMEL. Well, see, when we start talking about something like that, we're talking about a multi-part ad campaign where not just one thing plays a factor. It's a conglomerate of different things that enhance like you would want to probably do an ad campaign with KMEL and Source Magazine and a street team.
But the average person can't afford all that.
We understand.
We're still talking about just, taking out the trunk.
But you can do something right here.